everyone. My name is Cherrell. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, and this ain't a podcast. I'm going to let a few more people join in here before we get started. We have an amazing show for you guys tonight. I'm so excited. I'm going to be trying out some new things this episode, so I am super excited. We have an amazing show for you guys. And I want to thank my beautiful audience for tuning in this Tuesday like you guys do every Tuesday. This show is obviously not possible without you guys. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow me on social media at MissCarter_1X. You can also find me on Facebook with Cherrell Carter. And make sure you click the link in our bio and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have all of the episodes on YouTube, and you can rewatch them there. I know sometimes IGTVX really funny, but give me a second here. We have an amazing guest tonight. We have Britney Webster joining us tonight. I'm so excited. You guys are going to really love her. I'm just trying to make sure my camera is sitting right. Okay, so you guys know the routine. You got to drop something in the comment section that you're grateful for. I'll start. What am I grateful for today? You know what? This is going to be really petty, but today I'm going to say I am grateful for allergy medicine because I really need some. But I'm glad that they make it even though I don't have any yet. So I'm grateful for allergy medicine. Grateful for genuine friends. Man, they are the bomb, okay? You can't go wrong with some good friends. You can't go wrong with some good friends. I love that. Okay, let's see here. Let's get Brittney on here, you guys. And let's get her out here. We'll have an amazing show today, you guys. I cannot wait. Hello!
Hey!
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
You too. I was definitely looking for your page to go live. I was just sitting here.
Right?
I was like, oh, this is not it's not the right page.
It's fine. That's what I think. I don't know. Maybe I didn't tell you we go live from here.
I think you did.
Oh, okay.
I think you did. I was just being slow.
Okay, so the ritual is when you join the show, you got to give us something that you're grateful for.
Something I'm grateful for. I'm grateful today, especially for just really good, I think the person said it already, but good friends that just like are there for you to tell you the truth and just be there to hear you vent, all of that.
I love that. I agree. Great friends or genuine friends are hard to come by. So I agree with you there. I do want to apologize, guys. If it keeps looking like I'm squinting, I promise you, allergies is like killing me. I don't know what's
It's real bad down here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think I had allergies last year. I feel like COVID did not have I don't feel like I had allergies last year because of COVID.
Really?
I swear I can't even remember sneezing last year.
Mine are bad. I take allergy medicine like every day, all year round.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna have to take some. I really don't want to, but I'll be over there crying random as ever.
Yeah, I used to do that too. I definitely used to do that. People think something's wrong. I'm like, I'm not crying.
Right. Swear something wrong. Okay. I was so happy to talk to you today. One, because first off, after I saw you post that you have the new course going, which is Book Brainstorm, I actually went in the closet and I pulled something down and something fell on me. I don't know what hit me. I think it was like it's like the end of my charger speaker kind of hit me. The book came down. It was like the same day or the day after. I was like, oh my God, that's who I want to interview. Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
I went through your book and I'm like, bruh, this book is like, does she even understand what she
Which
wrote?
one? The first one?
Yes, Epiphany. Yes. You guys,
I need to revisit that one. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Look, let me tell you guys something. Audience, you guys know that I do not recommend. I am not one of those people that's going to lie to you about no book, especially not no book, because I ain't got no reason to lie. That book, Brittney, is gold.
Oh, thank you.
It's I was reading it like, oh, okay. She's talking to me. So let's
came from the heart.
Man, it felt like
that was 6 years ago.
Yeah. How do you say you haven't visited in a while? When was the last time you looked at your book, or your first one at least?
Actually read it over?
Yeah. Or just even saw it or whatever.
I mean, I see it every day. It's right. I keep it on my desk. I see it every day. but I haven't really like looked at it and really like looked at what I wrote in years, like at least 4 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good book.
Thank
Like,
you.
you did your thing with that book. And so when I did your quote, I shared an excerpt of it. And it was just saying that if you feel like you want to live someone else's life, then you're kind of insulting God and how he made you. Like, do you know, you have a lot about God. You talk a lot about God in that book. Why is that so important to you? Like, to include that in your very first piece of work?
Honestly, it was God the reason I even wrote that book or put that book out, because so my second book is a novel. So I'm a screenwriter now. That's what I'm like fine tuning and learning. So that's what I really wanted to get to, was that, and this book just came out first because I was just like journaling and trying to figure out life. I wrote it between the ages of 23 and 25. So I was pretty young, and I was just like journaling, venting, figuring life out, and then I would share it with people, and they're like, you know, this, like, you got to put this out. So I had to talk about God because that's who I was talking to, really, when I was writing it.
I love that. So I told you I wanted to bring you on because I really wanted to talk about a leap of faith, and that was something that you really talked about in your book. So you graduated in 2013, and you graduated with a bachelor's of science. Do you use your degree now, Brittney?
No. Do any of us use our degrees? No, I don't use it at all.
And so you took a leap of faith. Not so what in between. I think you wrote your book in 2015, right? Released in 2016, but you graduated in 2013. That's 2 years in between. What did you do in between getting your degree and writing your first book?
So I started writing the book, like, I graduated in April. I probably started writing this like October, November, not knowing it was a book. I was just started like writing what turned into the book. So I spent the time, those first 2 years, really just writing it and learning about, I self-published it. So learned how to self-publish. That was a lot of ups and downs. Money wasted and having to redo things, just figuring out that process. So that's really what I was focusing on. I was working other jobs that were like not related to what I wanted to do, because I didn't know I was still figuring out what I wanted to do. I didn't put this book out thinking this was like my actual career path. It just kind of happened on the way, but I was just figuring it out.
It like when you decided, what was the moment like when you decided this is the path that I want to take? Do you remember that moment like when you was like, oh, this it, like, okay, this is what I want to do?
I think when I got closer to releasing the book is when I started realizing, like, okay, I'm an author. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put out my next book after this. But that was closer to like 2015 when it came out. So I don't remember the exact moment at all, but I just didn't stop once I figured that out. I've been pushing for it ever since then. Even though it switched away from books so much, as far as what I write, I'm still in books clearly because I'm helping other people figure out how to write theirs and publish theirs, but it's still going to be writing forever.
So you graduate with a bachelor's of science, and I'm sure along the lines you have shared these dreams. You know, I really like this writing. And what were people saying when you were telling them, like, maybe I want to, maybe I think I'm going to release this book? Like, what was the feedback like?
I didn't tell a whole lot of people. Like my inner circle knew I was writing it, but I didn't really talk much about it. I just was working on it, writing it. And then I just dropped it one day. I think I did, like, I got a logo and got my website together. My friend, Erica, designed it for me. So I just dropped it. I think I dropped the logo one day and nobody really knew what it was for. And then I dropped the book and just went from there. So people were supportive because when they saw it, it was done. I didn't really, yeah. And the people that did know about it were super supportive because just got a lot of good people in my corner. But the world didn't know. I kept that one. I kind of live like that though. I keep a lot of things real close to me until it's pretty much done, and that's when I let the world in on stuff.
Why do that with your first book? Like, this is new. You obviously, I remember in the book you say that you had the gift of writing since forever. Like, this has been something that's been really good. So why hide it for so long and wait to share?
Hide it? I don't think I didn't hide it. I just was focused so much on learning how to write it, learning how to publish it, put it out, promote it. I
Right.
was just focused on doing the work so much that I didn't want to like talk about it and just. I think it's just my personal. This now I do it a lot more. Like I'm on Twitter a lot, so I'll talk all the time about what I want to write, or it's different now, but that's what I did the first time. Marshall said I protected it.
I
Yeah,
was
I
just
think
about
that's
to say,
what I did.
what do you
That's
think
just
you were
me. That's how
protecting
I
it from?
do everything, though. What'd you say?
What do you think you were protecting it from?
Because sometimes you have to know what dreams or what things in your life God gave you to work on that everybody may not understand. And so until you are in a place where, and it's different for everybody, but I think for me, until you're in a place where you're strong enough and secure enough in how you're going to do it, you may not want all these different opinions, because their opinions could be right. A lot of people, if I would have told everybody that I was trying to write this book that was back, so 2013, like,
It was a different
Instagram,
time.
it was a different time. So
Different time.
it wasn't a whole, like, now I think we're more open to changing, doing your own thing and starting fresh. But back then
Yeah.
it felt like I didn't know anybody that had written a book, let alone,
Yeah.
well, actually I did. I knew one person named Sierra, and she gave me some advice on how to do it. But other than that, I didn't know anybody personally that had written a book. So I just was like, I gotta head down and figure this out. But now I'm a little different now.
What's different now, Brittney?
Now I'm doing it, so it doesn't feel as like I'm an author. I'm doing it. I've seen myself do it, so I'm more willing to be like, yeah, so I want to write this next story and just be randomly talking about it. But I guess I still kind of keep some of those things close to me, but I'm learning the balance between keeping things to myself and sharing to inspire other people too. So I'm still figuring that out.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
like that.
it's hard for me.
I love that because everybody always says that your story is your testimony.
It is,
And
yeah.
I think it's a thin line between being authentic and transparent and just
Hmm.
telling everybody your business. There's a difference.
Yeah, and you have to know why you're telling it. Like, are you telling it to social media because you need their validation? Because that's where you could either fall short or you could get it, but you don't want to rely on that either. So I think knowing your own motives helps too.
Definitely. Oh, that's a good one. There you
Hmm.
go. Okay, you gotta be intentional when you're just doing all that.
Yeah.
Not just willy-nilly
For
sharing all your
me,
business.
some people are different. Some people need to like say, I'm doing this, and tell whoever their social media following is so that they can hold them accountable. And there's nothing wrong with that either. That's just like, you got to know yourself and yeah.
I think so too.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't think I'm telling them all that. You not telling them all that? Because I ain't telling them all that.
Not me, personally.
Not
Not me. It doesn't work for me, but.
Okay, so somebody did make a really good comment that says everyone doesn't understand the switch from pre-med to an author. I really want to talk about that pivot. I feel like in this day and age, it's so easy to reinvent yourself. One day you do this, and maybe you're so committed and dedicated, and then 6 months down the line, you're doing this. You went, and like we just both said, 2013 was a completely different time. I'm sure influencers were coming up on
But
Instagram now, but nothing was big. Like,
back then, I don't even think we could do videos on Instagram yet.
I
Like,
don't
it was
know.
just pictures and iPhones. So yeah, it was
Yeah. I don't even think
different.
the Androids even have Instagram, because I know I didn't have
Oh,
Instagram for a while.
they might have been around that time, or maybe the year
Yeah,
after. I don't remember, but it wasn't what it is today.
definitely no,
It wasn't.
absolutely not, definitely not. So that pivot to
Mm-hmm.
say I spent all these years, I bust my butt, because you were busting your butt in your book for one of them classes. I think it's Nikki or Erica, somebody in there was with you grinding to get this class passed. You went through
She
all
said I
those.
had the biggest books on campus. I did. I was always studying. Like, I studied up until the party started. Like,
You were busting your butt to pass these classes, them sweating, them tears. I know how college go. And then you pivot into being this author. What was that like? Like, how did you manage that? Because it looks different. I know it's different to do it now than it was then. So do you remember
Yeah.
what the pivot was like?
It was hard. Like, it was a lot of like overcoming self-doubt, a lot of believing that I could really do it, believing that because it wasn't like I was pivoting into like, okay, I'm gonna be a teacher instead. It was pivoting into something that, not that I don't even, not saying that wouldn't be hard too, but I was pivoting into something that didn't have like a clear lane. It still doesn't. So
Yeah.
it's just like jumping into to nowhere. So that's why I had to call on Jesus. That's all I really got. I have very supportive parents who understood. My dad changed careers after when I was like 4 or 5. So they get it, and they were supportive and just told me to go for it. And I was willing to like do what I had to do in the middle of figuring it out. So like I worked at a nursing home first. That was like in my field. That's what really showed me like this is not what I can't think of anything in this field I want to do. Then I worked at a call center. Then I worked at a high school for a couple years. And all of these, well, besides, I don't really know what the call center did for my life, but the school definitely like moved me into where I needed to go. But I just was like humble enough to like, I'm just going to do whatever job I have to do while I figure all this out, even if it's not like climbing the ladder. I'm like, none of these make sense. None of these add up, but I got to do something. And did the same thing when I moved to Atlanta. My job was not in the field that I wanted to be in at all, but I think that's been the key for me, is just being willing to make those sacrifices for the sake of being able to keep pursuing this.
I love it. And you really, though, none of those jobs, you know, were what you were doing now, but they were definitely a part of building to get you there. You had to go through one of those little jobs. What about the school really, you know, really made you feel like you were on the right path or put you closer to that?
It was the kids. I think I saw somebody, a couple of them jumped on here. One. So it's something about kids. They just, you can see yourself in them. And like, when I started working there, I want to say 24. I think right after my 24th birthday, I started. So I wasn't that much older than a lot of them, but they just saw me as so grown and like I had it figured out. And it just gave me, I don't know, it just helped me reflect and like, you know, I have Mission 31. So that really being around the kids, like a lot of the kids I was working at IPSI, they came and became a part of Mission 31. So it just was more so developing who I was as a person, which then gives you things to write about, is what I guess.
I think every entrepreneur, anybody, like you said, that pivots into a career that doesn't have a clear lane. Like to become a teacher, you know, you got to go to school, you got to take classes, but nobody tells you what the requirements is to become an author. You just wake up one day, and if you write, and you become one eventually.
Yeah, and then when you become one, it's like success is so like it's what you make it. So it's an interesting path.
Right.
You have to be very, very like determined and disciplined, I would say.
Ooh. Do you think you were disciplined in the beginning, or is that something that you've acquired along the way?
Yeah, I've always been pretty disciplined. I have my spurts where I can get really like off track or lazy, but overall I am pretty disciplined. I just was like that as a kid. So that's what I have. It's a lot of other things I need to work on, but the discipline, I think, is one thing that I really, really had in that season. And that's why I was able to get it done. And now that I have way more things to do, I look back at even my 24-year-old self. I'm like, I don't know how I wrote 2 books back to back, because like now it's a lot harder to get things done. So I'm trying to get that level of discipline back when you have to multitask.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. What do you think? What do you think, like outside of God and your family, where were you pulling these sources of strength from? Like what was getting you through it? Because as an entrepreneur, oftentimes you're working day by day and it looks like nothing changes. And then you look back all of a sudden and the whole world has changed. How do you stay grounded, and where were you pulling your source of strength from?
I think having a really clear vision of where I want to go. So like back then it was to get to this point, and now it's to get to a certain point. So it's just keeping your eye on the prize and really understanding that it takes time. Sometimes it's not gonna always happen overnight, and being okay with that. And I've learned a lot of patience. A lot of patience. You ask God for patience, and He will definitely put you in some things that make you have to learn that. So, yeah.
I like that.
I say hold on to the picture. I have a vision board in my room. I just did this year. This is the first time I made one off of I Googled pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's real specific, and I got it framed, and it's on my wall. So when I wake up, that's the first thing I see on the wall every day, even if it's subconsciously. So I feel like that's what keeps me going, is knowing I haven't gotten to where I want to go yet. So I have to keep on pushing.
And now you are where you wanted to be, what, 6-7 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And is this even a lower end of your success that you would say? Would you say that you reached a little bit of what you thought success would look like?
Yeah, I don't feel like I have gotten even I feel like I just scratched the surface of what I'm trying to do. So that's what what I've been practicing doing, is be acknowledging how far I have come compared to that, and not always only looking forward. Bless you. But I have so many more, so much I want to do still that I haven't done yet. So I am still pushing.
I love it. So you say you're trans. Gosh, I can't even think. I almost had to sneeze again. You're moving into this is crazy. You're moving into screenwriting, right? Screenwriting. Okay.
Yep.
So you moved to Atlanta, and then you were working. Where were you working when you first moved to Atlanta? Because we know it's not what you wanted to do the first time either.
I was working at it was an association for corporate real estate. It was a nonprofit type of organization.
Okay.
Yep. So it didn't have, what'd you say?
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said it didn't have anything to do with the film industry at all. It was just I worked there for 2 years, and it paid me well, so I was able to live and pay my bills and just figure out life. And so I'm very grateful for it, because I know a lot of people move out of state and you have to hustle in a different way and do a lot of odd jobs. So I'm grateful that I was able to just have something steady. But it was very humbling, because even when I was working back in Michigan, when I was working at the school, I was the boss in my department that I was in. So I felt further along when I was working there. Then I moved down here, and I'm taking a step back.
Wow.
Even though it was paying a little more, it still felt like a huge step back.
Yeah, you're just an employee. You're not the boss anymore.
Yeah.
So you're still working on your dream at that time. How are you working on your dream
right now?
When you were working at the real estate place?
I was learning screenwriting. So I left Michigan like an author. I hadn't even read a script, really. I was just I'm going to Atlanta. I'm about to turn my book into a movie. And then I got here, and my cousin is in the industry. And he was yeah, that book is not you need to write the script. You need, they need scripts. The book is not, you can't just hand a book to a producer. So I was oh, all right. So I started learning how to write screenplays. And I moved here in 2016, and then I want to say early 2017 is when I started working on my first script. And then I went through 4 or 5 different ones before I landed on the one I really wanted to write at the end of 2017. And I just finished that one in January of this year. And it was because I was teaching myself the same way I taught myself with everything else. So I'm watching YouTube University, reading articles, reading scripts. So it took me a long time. And then I got in a class this past summer that a screenwriting class that I'm still in now, and that really changed the game. So that I was able to start over, and I finished it in 4 months, I want to say. But overall, it took me 3 years. But really, it would have only taken me 4 or 5 months. So I was just figuring it out. I wrote I want to say a year into being here, I wrote a script for a friend of mine, a short film. And then we shot that. It didn't come out, but we shot it. And then I wrote another short film that started getting passed around, and that got in the hands of some producers. So I was like, okay, it's finally about to take off for me. Like, it's going. And then you just learn how the industry works, and it's a lot more complicated. But like I said, I got in that class, so my skills got better. I rewrote that script too. So I just really been like fine tuning my skills and staying out the way as much as I can here. So I can be ready when it's my time.
I want to talk about that. I think that I love the idea that failing and losing is in entrepreneurship is starting to be pushed more. You're going to take a lot more L's than you're going to get them dubs, and you got to appreciate them L's because they usually redirect you somewhere else. When you get to Atlanta, you got this script, it's getting passed around, you get excited, but then the process slows up. What was that like, or do you remember what that was like?
It was disappointing, definitely. But it taught me a lot, and it happened twice actually with the same script for different reasons.
Really?
The second time was just the pandemic, why I didn't end up shooting that, but when I was going to, but it was disappointing at first, but I always try to look for I will sit and search, and like my friends will tell you, I will try to find the lesson in something and figure out what I'm supposed to learn so I can just get better. And that's what I did.
And what do you think
it got better. What'd you say?
What do you think the lesson of that was?
Patience again, preparation. Like, you have to really put in the work for what you want. Nothing's gonna just be handed to you. Nothing's gonna, like you said, you have to get a lot of no's before you get those yeses sometimes. So take that time after each no and like make yourself better, or make your product or your story, whatever it is, better, so that when the time comes back around again, because it will, that you'll have even better outcome because you were even more prepared. So that's what I have spent the last, I would say, 2 years, really the last year for real, really focused on. I'm like, let me just be ready. Like, instead of trying to get be everywhere and let everybody just read this one script, let me have 3 or 4 done that are really good, so that I can, have more control over my career as it takes off.
I love that. That's a good mindset to have.
Sometimes you gotta sit down and stay and be okay being in what feels like the corner for a season.
I love it. It's like what's that little stupid thing? You wind it up. What is that stupid thing? You know what I'm talking about? You wind it up and it pop out. What is that, jacket?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's real.
I like that. That's like being prepared.
I could have when I did the first short film, it could have came, either of the 2 short films that I was telling you about just a second ago, they could have been done and came out, but if it would have, gotten to the right circles, and then if I didn't have my feature script done, or I didn't have the other things I'm working on, it's like you could kind of miss your moments. I don't want to miss any windows because I didn't do the preparation. So I try to just think of it like that. I'm not mad it didn't happen when it didn't happen now.
I think that's a good point, that, thank God didn't give me what I think I wanted when I think I wanted.
Yeah, and you can still have it in the right time.
Yeah, you would have messed it up. You'd have been like, dang, I fumbled it. Then you probably be way more mad because it's like, yeah, I knew I could have did it. I love it. Okay, so fast forward. You get out of working for the real estate, and now where are you working? Because I've seen you. I know you got the course coming. I saw you upload something with Cardiac Films. I saw him in there. And so what have you been doing in between time?
So now I work for a company called UCS, Urban Content Studio. So it's based out of Detroit and Atlanta. But right now, all of the clients are in Detroit for the most part. So I'm the executive director of production. So I started as a writer with them and just worked my way up. So when I told you before, I was like, I'm not working my way up. I would had to take on these random jobs, but then it still worked out when I just stayed patient and, got to my lane. Then I was able to work myself up and doing something that I actually enjoy, that is related to what I want to do. It's not the film industry, but it's production related. So I'm learning skills that are transferable. So that's good. So I do that. I oversee the videographers, the photographers, and all of the pretty much all the video projects that we do. And it's cool. I've been able to do some fun stuff working there.
Right.
Worked on a docuseries and a lot of things like that. So it's cool.
What is that like? What is it like?
What is it like?
Docuseries. Fast
paced. Learn a lot on the go, on the fly. But it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of like days where you're sitting down doing the bit, not the busy work, but the less flashy work that has to be done beforehand, all for those couple of moments that everybody sees it, like, oh, I saw you doing this or that. And it's like, it's fun, but it takes a lot of work to build to that.
Now that the world, even social media, we know that social media is not what it used to be. It is completely evolved, and I'm sure in 10 years it's going to be something I can't imagine again, and I'm not going to even know what it is. My kids do it. So now they're always so big on promoting on social media. How do you make sure that you stay grounded in what you're doing, Brittney, and not get caught up? Because we know that people, life on Instagram ain't never what it seems.
Yeah.
Never what it seems. And so how do you keep yourself grounded and stay focused on what you got going?
I think I'm still learning that. I'm sure we all are. I get into the habits where I'm just scrolling and I'm like, oh, I might need a break. So I'm still figuring that out. I do pay attention to myself, and I notice like if I am spending too much time, and like, because I think social media can be good because you can be, it's a lot of creativity out there. Like you can be inspired. And I realize as a writer, like I have to find the balance between like being out there and like living, and I can't just be in my box. So it's a pandemic, so sometimes all you can do is just social media. So it's just moderation and balance and figuring it out. As far as like what I'm taking in, and I told you, as far as putting out, I struggle. I could never post again, and I'll be fine. So I have to figure that part out.
How have you managed to stay? Well, I guess when you got to write, how have you managed to stay inspired through the pandemic to write and keep working?
The beginning of the pandemic, I wasn't inspired at all, and I wasn't writing at all. Like the first, like I would say from March to June, like I wasn't very productive at all. I was just trying, like everybody else, trying to maintain and figure out what is this crisis that we're in, and manage like everybody. We're just trying to manage our own anxiety. So I wasn't trying to create anything. Like when people were saying, like, if you didn't use this time to make something, I was like, well, that's just gonna be me, because I can't promise y'all I'm gonna come out of this with nothing. So then I think once the summertime hit, we can get outside a little more, and I realized like, oh, this is not going anywhere. I just forced myself to like start being creative, and so I got into the class, which held me accountable. So now every week I got people asking me like, I can't just forget about writing now at all. Like it's people holding me accountable. So accountability partners for sure help. And then once I just locked in and set the new goal of like wanting to really get this script done, that helps, because I just forced myself and disciplining. It's fun once you get over all the things that are in the way. So I had to figure out what those things were. And
what were they? What do you think some things were in the way for you?
It was, like we said before, just looking too much, feeling like, should I be further along than I am? It's a pandemic, but everybody else seems to have been creating all this stuff. So, and just wanting to be in like way too many lanes at once. Like I was letting myself be like, I should be out here shooting. I need to be shooting this short film and the other short film, and I need to write another one. And it's like, I had to figure out what I needed to really do in that season, which was sit down and write. And I did. And so now I have things to show for it now. 2 scripts. So, and coming, and more coming. So
when you're figuring out like, or when you sense yourself, maybe, I guess we could say comparing or feeling like you should be a person, how do you get back? Do you still journal? I know you mentioned that do you still journal?
Yeah.
Get yourself back on track?
I do that. I journal. I have a really good support system of people around me that I'm able to like talk to. But it's really been getting like a real clear understanding that like this is my lane. I'm in my lane right now. And I purposely told myself, I'm like, you are for 2020, you, despite, even though people are starting to get back to filming and things, I'm like, you are going to sit and write. Like your time, we can film this later, but right now I have to write. And that just helped me stay focused. And so now it's 2021 and I can decide like, okay, now do I want to write and shoot, or do I want to just like, what do I want to focus on?
Right.
So,
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. So I want to talk about because I feel like everybody always thinks that they have to turn something that they love into a hustle. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like firsthand, even as much as I love t-shirts, after starting the t-shirt business and running it, I realized that I love t-shirts, but I don't love them that much. You don't
Yeah.
have to turn every hobby or something you love into getting money. And I know that money changes the way you view what you love.
Mm-hmm.
How has that shifted the way you love this, how you love writing, or how has it affected the way you love writing?
So thankfully, with my job I have now, and it being like I feel very, very blessed to be able to work a job that is freelance. So I do have control over my schedule, control over my time, but it is in my field and it's enjoyable. So it takes the pressure off of like I got a right to eat, and I can more
Yeah.
so write for fun, even though I know that's the career that I really have to put the effort into, because that's what I want to take off. But because I'm blessed to be in the position where I am able to separate the two, it works out better for me. But everybody has a different journey, and this won't be mine forever. Like I want to get to the point where I eat and live off of what I write, but we'll get there.
Okay,
So
so
I
I'm
don't know
sorry.
if I answered the question.
Yeah, no, you did.
Okay.
I know you did. I did an interview a couple months ago, and it was with a basketball player, and he plays overseas now, and we talked about playing ball for money is different. It doesn't the
Mm-hmm.
passion is not the same, and sometimes it just changes. It really makes you think about, do you really love this, or is it something
Yeah.
you're just good at it, you really just like to do it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that people don't take into consideration when they go, oh, I want to do this, and I'm gonna do it for life, and it's like you might not love it that much. And so you're
Yeah.
going to really be forced to figure out what you really do love. And now you got to really figure out what you want to do with your life. Because at this point, you keep doing it. Not necessarily that you're wasting time, but you could be doing what you're really supposed to be doing if you just stop
Mm-hmm.
everything about money.
And I think we have to give ourselves grace to understand like we change. So like what you really
Yeah.
want to do at 20 may not be what you really want to do at 40 or tomorrow, and that's okay too. And so if you focus on just like who you want to be, I think that it'll
Ooh.
all line up, and you'll be able to find yourself in different positions where you can use who you are and the skills that you have, and you can kind of pivot in different careers. Because like my job that I have now, I did not know it existed. I didn't know it existed. Nobody could have told me it existed. So, but because I was just adamant about, I really want to work in my lane, I really want to be creative, I really want to be able to write, I just tried to align myself with that and look for those opportunities, and that led to that, where it kind of basically like it just created itself for me. It wasn't like it was a job that already existed.
I love it. How did you say you align yourself with that? How did you do that? How did you align yourself to be who you want to be?
Getting a clear idea of what I wanted to do, trusting that it could happen, believing God that He will open the doors. And when I think about so I started as a writer with UCS, and it was like not being afraid to so I was working my full-time job, and it was a small door. Like you can just be a freelance writer with this company, and like not being afraid to just start small and start there and do the extra work. I was like, they would start giving me extra work to do that wasn't really writing, but it was like, I think the first extra project was I had to do a treatment for a video treatment, which, outlines like what's going to happen in the video or in the episode for like a web series that they were trying to do. So like, I had to work all day, and then I came home and worked on that, and I didn't know how to do it. I had to Google and figure it out. But like, I was so focused on like, I'm just going to follow my my instincts and follow what felt right to me, and it just kept unfolding and it worked out.
I love that.
So.
I love that. Dang, this is good. I just had another. I just had another interview last week, maybe, and he and I talked about doing free work. And not maybe free work, actually work that you don't get paid for, and then other things that may be outside that realm. And understanding that free work still pays you, is laying the bricks for your foundation. It may not be monetary, but you're going to gain the network maybe, or you may gain the experience. And just telling people that in order to get where you are, you're not getting paid immediately. This is not going to happen off the back. You got to put that work in.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what you were doing, right?
So I have mixed feelings on that too. So yes, so I started off doing like a lot of different random freelance work, and a lot of it I didn't get paid for, and it was, you have to know what, you gotta use discernment and really know, because it was some people will try to take advantage of you and just get you to do stuff for free because they don't want to pay anybody. So it's a difference between that and just being humble and understanding, like, I need to just put in the work first. So you have to kind of navigate and figure that out. So by the time I got to the point where I was freelance writing with UCS, I was over the work for free. I was like, I need to get paid. So I when I heard it was a paid opportunity, I was like, okay, I can do this. But then, like, again, some of the things that I did once I got in the door, I didn't nickel and dime. I didn't get paid to do every single thing that I did. And and that stands to this day. Like, you have to, when you become a team, you're a team player, we gotta all pull our weight to do different things, but know your worth too, because there's money out here. So don't just do everything for free.
No, I don't recommend. Trust me, I got a limit on what I'm gonna do for free, baby.
Yeah, you have to.
Line.
It really depends. It really depends.
I love it. You said something that I really want to ask you about. You said if you focus on who you really want to be, you got a greater chance to know where you want to be. Who do you want to be, Brittney?
I don't even know how to answer that, like, shortly. I want to be somebody that went after everything that God had for her. I want to be somebody that didn't give up. I want to have, like, not just like a seat at the table. I want to, like, be able to really have influence at the tables that I get to. So I want to, like, I don't want to just get a show out or get a movie out and that was it. I want to be able to get to a place where I can put people on and, like, really control what content. I hate the word content. Even I shouldn't say that, because I shouldn't say that. I work for a content studio. Control what movies and TV shows come out. I don't want to be a pawn in anybody's plan. I want to really be able to be the boss. So
okay. I love that.
Time.
You're going to see that quote somewhere. I just want you to know, I don't want to sit at the table. I want to have influence at the table.
I think I probably saw that on Twitter. I don't even know if I made that up, but I feel that way.
I love that. I think, dang, that's a really good point. I think we all want to sit there. I don't think once we get there, we realize how important or how much we want to have a say. Like, I just want to sit there and be seen. I want to be heard as well.
And sometimes, like, if you think of it that way, you really have to, like, not control, but you have to be, like, really mindful of, like, how you get in the game, or how you, like, you gotta, like, be okay with, like I said, like, and who knows, because I'm still on my way, so don't let me mess y'all lives up. But I just feel like if I sit back and really prepare and not prepare, like, as an excuse to, like, procrastinate, but, like, really, like, study my craft, learn my craft, have a portfolio to really work off, I'll have more leverage than if I just was like, I got one thing and once I get in the door, I have to do whoever says I have to do, because this is my only thing I have. Like, I want to have so I can do it the best way.
I love that. Y'all,
but again, don't let me mess y'all lives up, because I don't know.
I let a little disclaimer at the
right,
end. You gotta say nothing I said. Maybe I should start.
I don't know.
People listening to me should start putting that on my videos.
Mm-hmm.
So let me bro, y'all. I love that. Brittney, dang, these some good quotes. Y'all gonna see this. I might put that on the shirt. Okay, I'll send you some profits because I might put that on the shirt. I really like that. Okay, so you are an author. I want to know, who are some of your favorite authors? Who are some of your favorite screenwriters?
So I do have more favorites on the screenwriting side, like, or the director side than author side. But I really like Ryan Coogler, Ava DuVernay, Mara Brock Akil, Spike Lee, Barry Jenkins. I like all the Yvette Lee Browser. She is living single, and
ooh, for real?
it's a lot of people. Those are the ones that I could think of, like, off the top of my head.
I love if you could produce a show similar and maybe somewhere along the lines of any shows out, what type of show would you want to produce?
Well, okay, I'll say movies. So I just tweeted this the other day. The script that I wrote most recently, the feature film, I said what did I say? If the best man and living single had a millennial baby, you would get my script.
What? Hold on. So, whoa.
Co-ed group of friends, think best man, think living single, and but put it right now in 2021. That's what you would get for that script. But my next one, I really want to do something like I've been on the Antoine Fisher kick lately, so I want to do something like that. Yeah.
Oh, I want to see this. I want to see that.
The script is done. You can read the script. I'll send it to you.
Please, yo, I don't. Because I like Living Single is easily my top 5, one of my favorite shows ever. And The Best Man 2 was just like very few movies get a part 2 that are
good. Yeah.
And
even though it was sad, it was good.
But it was a good sad. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, man, I think they can come out with one more, and then I think they should just cut it off.
They're doing a limited series, I want to say. So it's going to be like a 1-season TV show. So we'll see. I don't know.
I wasn't going to go there. Right. I don't know anything about writing. You guys, I do this. That's not my job. Anyway. Okay.
See how it is when it comes out.
Let's see. And then, since you're a screenwriter, what do you think are give me your top 3 favorite shows.
Favorite shows?
Yeah. Or shows that you would say are like best written.
Like right now, or just of all time?
We can do all time.
Oh, that's hard because there's so many different. So I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air just because it was just for what it is, for like its time. But when we're talking about like well written, I don't even know. This Is Us is very, very well written, and I'm very behind on This Is Us. But
I've seen that.
That's a show, like that's a really, really good show. I probably could more so tell you movies than shows, honestly.
Okay, we can do movies then.
I really like The Best Man. I really like Antoine Fisher. I'm cheating by telling you those 2. I like, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So I love everything from Coming to America to Mean Girls to
so good.
I Am Sam. Like I like a lot of different things. I think it's different things for different moods, different times. So that's why I want to be able to write like in a couple different genres.
What's the number 1 genre you want to write in?
I'm looking at my whiteboard because I got it written down. So drama, rom-coms, dramedies. So kind of like the dramas that are funny.
Okay.
That's what I'm focused on right now. So like those really serious, heartfelt dramas, and then those light-hearted rom-com funny. Okay. But I want to be able to do like sci-fi one day. Really? And yeah, because I really liked movies like
I like that.
Inception and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't want to like always just write those kind of movies, but I do want to at some point do something like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything but horror and scary movies.
Really?
I don't think I'll ever write those.
Horror movies are good.
I don't like
Good
watching
ones, good
those.
ones. Okay, so we definitely got to talk about, before we go, we got to talk about your new course that you launched, because you are helping people brainstorm to get their ideas for their own book. Tell us about this Book Brainstorm course.
Yes. So when I self-published my book, I formed a publishing company so I could publish mine, which just basically means that you self-published your book. You have to have a publishing company. But the other people started asking me to help them with theirs. So I started taking clients. And then I realized a lot of people, it was like a gap from getting people to actually write the book to actually wanting to publish it. So I decided to just kind of go back to the drawing board. The Book Brainstorm is for anybody who just has an idea for a book. It doesn't have to be developed. It doesn't have to be thought out. It's just like I feel like I have a book in me. People always say that. So it is an hour and 15 minutes or so, and we just go through, and I have all these questions I ask, like interview you basically on what your book, what you see your book becoming, or what do you want to write about, and then we break it down, and you leave with a very clear understanding of what your book is about, who the target audience is, and an outline so that you can go home and actually start writing and pick a chapter to start writing or section to start writing on. So it's supposed to really take away that anxiety between I want to write but I don't know how to start, and actually starting.
Great. I love that. Okay. And this course is, I believe, very affordable in today's time because it's a pandemic according to Facebook. It's a pandemic. Okay. And your course is $175 for anyone that is looking to take it. I'm going to tell y'all, if you guys are watching this and you think you got a book, you need to holler at her, because her first book, I'm not going to lie to y'all, is gold. I wouldn't.
Thank you so much.
I don't have no reason to lie. I wouldn't even mention this book if I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
I really love it. And I don't even think I realized at the time how much God was just all throughout, because it's all throughout the book. Every page has God on it at one point. And I don't think I even realized, but I went through your book. I got dates. I dated it. Literally, I have dates in your book. One of the dates is 2/28, and I have a note. It's okay. Wow. Literally, I have blue highlighter marks, yellow. I'm like,
that makes me happy.
Yes, man. I read the book front to cover.
You were there when I had my first little, I think my book signing, or you came to my 1-year release party for the book too.
Yep, and I think we met. It was Cheese Young Moguls event. I think that's when you did the book launch. Yep. Oh yeah. I was like, gotta support a Black sister, y'all. I was about Black people then. I was about Black people then. I'm like, I gotta support her.
Yes.
And I like the way it looked. And the book was fire.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Brittney, you gotta tell people where they can find you on social media.
I am And Brittney Said on Instagram and Twitter. And on Facebook, it is my name. I want to say it's author Brittney Michelle if you do Facebook.com/author Brittney Michelle. But Instagram is where I am usually for book related things. So, And Brittney Said.
I love it. Your books are still available to be purchased on Amazon?
Yep, they're on Amazon or they're on my website. So I have a link tree in my Instagram bio that can take you right to it if you want I have the books that I can sell from my website. I'm able to autograph and send directly, or then Amazon, it just comes through Amazon. So either or.
There you go. And dang, I lost my train of thought. Okay, before you go, you got to go out the same way you came in. You got to give us something that you're grateful for.
I'm grateful for this interview or this chat and you telling me what the first book meant to you, because sometimes I focus so much on the scripts and where I need to go. I need to make sure that I keep giving these books life too. So I appreciate it.
Of course. And you know what? There we go. I'm going to leave out the same way I came in, and I'm going to say that I am grateful for getting a knot on the back of my head, because that's how I found that book again.
I'm glad. I'm not glad you got hit.
Because that job really hurt you.
I'm glad you found it.
But yes, it did fall off their hip and their butt came down with it. It's like one of those things you see in the movie.
Right. I'm gonna have to put that.
So weird. I ain't like that though. I'll be like, it's the devil or something. Why that fall like that? I don't know.
Right.
Anyways, I am grateful that I did find that book because I have been reading it since I have found it, and it's been is really been great to just read those words. It's definitely been reassuring. So I'm grateful that I wrote that book. And I'll tell you guys where you can find me on social media. My name is Cherrell Carter. You guys can find me on Facebook, Cherrell Carter. You guys can add me on Instagram at MissCarter_1X. Brittney, I want to thank you for giving us time today, for coming to chat with me and sharing your experience. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to give a huge shout out to our wonderful guests and all of Brittney's supporters because I saw them showing mad love in the comments section.
Yes, thank you.
We saw y'all. So I want to thank our beautiful audience for coming this Tuesday like you guys do every Tuesday. You guys can join me next Tuesday as we'll be closing out Women's History Month. You don't want to miss it. Thank you guys for joining us this month. My name is Cherrell Carter. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, you guys, and this ain't a podcast. I'll see you guys next week. Bye, Brittney.
Bye.